If you're like me, when you first started shooting video or photography, you realized you didn't know where to start. So I bought a bunch of different cameras and a bunch of different lenses. I did a lot of Facebook Marketplace deals, a lot of eBay, and I even bought one camera, the Sony 6700 that you're seeing me on now, brand new off of Amazon when it was first released. With that, I've used over 8 to 10 lenses in the past calendar year for both photography and videography. I can tell you that I only really needed 2 or 3, especially when it came to making money with my camera and my lenses. What should you be looking for in your portfolio if you're going to be booking paid shoots? This 24-70 lens, I got this for about $700. It's a Sigma lens. It doesn't matter if it's Sigma, Sony, Canon. It doesn't really matter what camera brand you have. 24-70 tends to be the sweet spot lens for both video and photography. Video, hands down, like you're not really gonna find a more versatile lens for what you will need. It gets the wide shots that you will need in most cases, unless you're doing something like real estate photography where you need a wider, like 14 millimeter or 16 millimeter lens. And then it gets a lot of those tight shots. For most video, you're not really going to be going in deeper than 70 millimeters unless you're really trying to get a prime lens look like the 85 millimeters lens that's on this camera. For photography, I got into the prime lens, vibe at first. I got a crop 30 millimeter lens, which equates to about 45 millimeters. I got this 85 millimeter lens. Crop is 127. I do love the 85. The 85 is a tremendous portrait lens, and I do suggest you get an 85, particularly if you are a Sony user, because you can get this 85 millimeter 1.8 lens for very cheap, probably under $200 or $300 on Facebook Marketplace if you're looking with a discerning eye. Definitely under 400, probably closer to 300 if you're looking with a discerning eye and make a good deal. Like I said, this 24-70 is about 700 to 800 from Sigma. And between these two lenses, I have made more money than everything else combined. In most paid shoots I do between video and photography, the 24-70 lens rarely will leave my camera. When I've done weddings, the 24-70 is on my camera the whole time, unless there's a specific shot I'm looking for, and then I may switch to 85 millimeter on. Caveat, so far when I have done weddings, most of them have been second shooter gigs. So I already have a primary photographer, and even the primary photographer, I have not shot a wedding where a photographer was using a 70 to 200. I only used mine for one wedding, and I got paid about $300 for that as a second shooter. And I mean, I got some good photos, but if you ask me like what are my favorite wedding photos, they're not the ones with the 70 to 200, just because you can't get really a good feel for the environment that you're in a wedding unless you're a part of a huge wedding and you are a photographer that needs to be like really far back from where they're doing everything. But I would say you probably use a 70 to 200 more when it comes to doing a wedding and having a camera on a tripod. That way you can reach on both sides. But still, you'll probably have to build up to need to do that. So I just find that there's many more use cases when it comes to the 24-70. And if you're a photographer, that 85 millimeter, when it comes to portraits, headshots, or anything in between, the 85 millimeter is really tremendous. But if you had to choose just one lens out of all the lenses, I've tried 50 millimeters, like I said, 30 millimeters crop, which is about a 45 millimeter, 70 to 200, 24-70, 85, 135. The one that I would say is the best, the one that you will get 85% of the possible gigs you could start off as a photographer from sports photography. Well, not sports photography. Sports photography, you're going to want a lens like the 70 to 200. Honestly, you may want something close to a 400 to 600, unless you're shooting something where you can get closer, like basketball, where 24-70 again still works. Or motorcycle photography, track photography, you may want a different type of lens, but still 24-70 will get you there. Weddings, 24-70 will take care of most of the things that you could want. When it comes to portraits, headshots, 24-70 will take care of it. Almost any video thing that you would do, 24-70 will take care of it. And of course, as you advance and you may be like, okay, I want the background to be compressed this way or that way, that's when you would be looking for a 70-200 or 85. But most beginners, even in that first year, if you had to choose between spending $1,300 on a 70-200 or $1,300 to upgrade the camera you have from maybe like a crop to a full frame, I would say upgrade the camera from crop to full frame, just because one of the easiest ways to make money as a beginner photographer or videographer is as a second shooter. And a lot of people who are looking for second shooters, they're looking for people with full frame cameras. So that investment in like, you know, a used full frame camera probably will take you farther than, you know, a 70-200 lens or a lens that's really expensive that you just feel like you need to have. So I wanted to make this video because I bought the 70-200. I bought a couple of these lenses. I bought a 1.4 prime lens, which was my 30mm, because I thought I needed it. And now I realize I didn't really need an aperture faster than 2.8. The 1.8 does help, but at this point I really use a 2.8 aperture or slower much more frequently than I would use anything below 2.8. It does give you that bokeh, but a lot of the people who tell you about the 1.4 lenses are probably YouTubers because they're filming themselves, and that bokeh really comes into play when you're looking behind you. But if you're doing something like a portrait shoot, in most areas, you're going to be controlling the environment that's behind the person. So you can just move them further from the background if you want that blur or not. And then if you're doing headshots, you probably have a solid background. And again, if you want more blur, you just move them away from the background. Similar to how this light right here is a little blurry, but it's still right here. If I wanted it to be really blurry, then I would just move it back here, and it's just going to be more blurry over there. You know what I mean? So I actually kind of like that there. That was pretty good placement. Anyway, that's what I want you guys to consider. Save your money. Focus on getting better and shooting with the setup you already have. If you don't even have a 24-70, use what you have and then build up to getting a 24-70 used, of course. And you can really make money with your camera setup the way it is, but you need to learn how to use your camera. That's what this channel is going to be for. I'm going to be teaching you how to use your camera to make money for yourself, for your family, but also, more importantly, make an impact. A lot of people have cameras, and cameras in most cases are collecting more dust than they are photos, and I want to be a part of helping change that, as I just got into this space a year ago and it's changed my life, and I think there's a lot to gain from it. So make sure you come back, check out Servant Studios, subscribe if you haven't already. If you made it to the end of the video, drop a comment and tell me what setup you're working with or what camera or camera brand you're looking to get into, and we're going to get better and we're going to grow together and make an impact in this world. I'll see you next video.